Hi there. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for taking a moment to, spend time with me. This is Dr. Ruthie Speaks Education, and please subscribe to the channel. I like to drop nuggets around education where we're talking about real people, real issues, and also real solutions. And it's also where I will work to keep it real. Today, I just wanted to jump on for a little bit because it's Juneteenth, and it made me think about how representation in education matters. I've been talking about that in my newsletter, which you can actually get on LinkedIn. And we'll leave a link below so that you can click and subscribe to get my monthly newsletter. And this month, I am talking about in my newsletter that you can see right here how representation matters in education. And when I think about Juneteenth, I think about how I didn't learn anything about Juneteenth as a student in school. And I don't think it's because my teachers didn't want to teach about it. I don't know that they knew about it. I don't know if it was taught for them. As an educator who taught for many years in the classroom and served as a building principal and as a curriculum director, Juneteenth did not show up anywhere in the scope of the spaces that I've been in, even in my teacher preparation experiences, where I was learning my methods. I didn't learn about Juneteenth. I studied history. So not only did I learn about it from my family, but I also learned about it as I studied history and could select courses to take as a part of my total program. And so I wanted to learn as much as I could about my history because, as you know, if you've been following my channel, I didn't learn a lot about myself in history that affirmed my identities in positive ways. I had some really amazing high school teachers that I talk about all the time that really made a difference in my life. And a couple of elementary teachers, too, that made a difference. There's a lot of history after that we need to be talking about, too, because when we talk about systemic oppression, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about systemically over a long period of time, how policies, legislation, and practices continue to oppress African Americans in this country. And I learned a lot about 1776 and all about, the white American experience in this country. But I did not learn a lot about the liberation of Black people beyond the Emancipation Proclamation. When we talk about representation, how it matters, this is an example. We should be learning about Juneteenth in our classes. It should be in every textbook, and it should be in the textbooks and in teacher preparation so that teachers understand what happened and they can teach about it. Because that is the way that we affirm our students' identities in positive ways. I just think about what I would have been like if I had learned about my history in affirming ways. The good, bad, and ugly, right? The things that happened that were not in favor of humanity and the things that we did in favor of humanity. We need to learn about those things. When I talk about representation in education, when we learn about our histories, when students see themselves reflected in their educational experiences across the content areas and can actually contribute to how their experiences are happening in schools, so their voices are not only heard, but they're seeing practices and policies enacted to reflect their input, that's representation in education. And I put out a newsletter this month talking about representation and focusing on 3 different elements that teachers and educators can consider as they're engaging in their work to make sure that students can see themselves reflected in positive ways in their school. I will also be talking about representation mattering in education on my podcast for the 2nd episode. If you subscribe to this channel already, you will receive notification when it comes. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. There'll be videos that will be added regularly to the channel that will support educators in their journey of making sure that all students feel like they're a part of the school community and talking about the real issues that often people kind of dance around and also providing real solutions, right? Teachers and educators are real people dealing with real educational issues and they need real solutions. And so I want to be a part of the solution. I'll continue to provide real talk around real issues, but also real practical solutions. And I just want you to know, when we talk about representation mattering, we are talking about including students' histories in the educational process across content areas. We're not just talking about history. We're talking about history, mathematics, language arts. We're talking about science, all the areas that we provide in our curriculum, because then students can begin to see themselves reflected more accurately in ways that is positive and positively affirming. When I talk about representation mattering in school, when I talk about student engagement, when I talk about the positive socialization of students through their educational processes, I am referring to situations like this. Juneteenth should be taught in the curriculum more deeply and more richly and in ways that is an asset. And I am going to also add the next video on how I talked about asset-based ways of teaching and communicating with students, and also the difference between asset-based practices and deficit-based practices. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click on the video here and then go ahead and watch that. Until next time, remember to keep it real.